Hello.
Here we are, live. We're live, Finn.
Boom. Hello.
Live.
Hello. Say hello, everybody.
It's Sunday.
Sunday. I don't even know what the date is. Oh, it's the 28th of June.
Is that significant?
No.
No.
It's the last time.
Sunday
Payday was on Friday.
Payday was on Friday for some.
For some, yeah.
Evening all.
Evening, everybody. Nice to see you.
The days are getting shorter.
Oh, God. That is so sad. So disappointing. Hi, everybody. Hannibal Brown here. 6 o'clock Sunday evening. We're here to talk to you about the virtues of Bordeaux.
Bordeaux.
In fact, no, we're going to make it really nice and easy and simple. And
yeah, it's Bordeaux Explained a little.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah.
I'm Jude. This is Pam. This is Finn. That was in order of importance. Nearly snuck Finn in there.
Evening, Tom. Nice to
Tom
see you.
And Jem. Right.
Glad you got your wine this week.
Well, we just had a little cheeky glass of white actually whilst we were waiting for you guys because it's been such a lovely day.
Yeah, indeed. But also in the interest of this is a sample actually of a new wine that we're getting.
Indeed.
In probably a couple of weeks' time from Lebanon. Some of you might know, hello Jane, some of you might know that we did a talk on Lebanese wine, it's a good 3-4 weeks ago now, but we've actually just discovered a new producer. That's not to say that we're getting rid of the Chateau Latour, we're not, well not at the moment in any case, but we've just found this fantastic Sauvignon Blanc. It's like honey. That's the first impression.
Yeah, it's very nice.
It's really, really lovely. So watch that space for this wine. We haven't got a price for it yet, but it won't be long.
Couple more hellos. Hi to Tim and Emma, and hi to Michelle and Claire, and hi to Malcolm.
Hi, Malcolm.
Who has the wine courtesy of Tom Treadwell. So thank you, Tom.
Cheers. What's the news?
News this week is we've all been watching the news about bigger issues, but in our closer news, we had a pint of beer for the first time.
We did.
Totally following all the rules and socially
distant
away from everybody.
In the middle of Wimbledon Village. Wimbledon Village is open for business in all a very strange way. You have to sort of stand in the road.
It's very odd, but it was kind of enjoyable,
kind of
and there wasn't really anyone there because it was raining. But there we go.
But in wine news, on the back of the success of last Thursday's tasting with Gary and Kathy Jordan from Stellenbosch, from the Jordan Estate in Stellenbosch, South Africa. Anybody who didn't catch it, all of our videos are on YouTube. Just go and just click onto it. They're there for infinity. You can flit around. I don't know how many we've done now, but an awful lot. Yeah, but anyway, on the back of the success of that conversation with two winemakers, we are now getting another winemaker in on the Thursday, the 9th of July. So not this Thursday coming, the following Thursday. Fingers crossed, we're going to be joined by
Ernst Lucen, who you probably don't know his wines under his name, Ernst Lucen, but we've tasted through these tastings all of the Villa Wolf wines.
Yeah.
Villa Wolf Pinot Noir Rosé, which is a German rosé. Villa Wolf Pinot Noir, German Pinot Noir, and the Villa Wolf Pinot Gris, which is a firm favourite.
Yeah.
All produced by him. Actually, very entry-level versions of his wines, but fantastic. So fingers crossed he'll come and join us.
Yeah. So he will be coming from Germany.
Signing in. I'll make sure that Pam doesn't say anything inappropriate. Don't worry.
And then the following week, we're doing a little Greek number.
Yes, the 16th. We're going to put all this on the website. It's all very much, hot off the press. Greek night. We've got two amazing, potentially three actually amazing wines to choose from.
Oh yeah,
Greek wines.
Yeah.
One from Crete. I think the other two are from the mainland.
Yeah.
We didn't go Santorini because we don't want to break the bank.
Oh God.
But they are fantastic wines.
Yeah.
And for that, we're definitely going to suggest the food accompaniments. Teaming back up with Russian Rebels, they're going to be producing some really fab Greek kind of canapé finger food, which will pair brilliantly with the wines. And if you don't order them directly from them, you can have a go at making them yourselves as well.
But also to say that they are going to be joining us on the call. So just like Kathy and Gary Jordan, you're going to be able to see these guys at work talking about their food directly.
Indeed. Indeed.
Anyway, more of that in a few days' time.
Okay, so hi Luke and Simon. Steve's here. He's got the wine at the ready. Everyone's got the wine at the ready.
Right,
Make sure
let's go.
You poured some. Right. We're on the wrong one because we snuck a little glass of white. So
Knock that back, Jude.
That's a bit big to knock back, actually.
Bordeaux!
Could you call that away?
What's it all about?
Bordeaux Explained. So just to give you a brief little, in a nutshell, well, I'm going to actually do an introduction and then Pam can do the nutshelling. So Pam spent a reasonable chunk of her wine industry career in France, certainly, but Bordeaux itself.
Yeah.
So you've had quite a lot of experience of Bordeaux from the inside.
And the people of Bordeaux.
And are they called Bordelais or something?
Bordelais. Les Bordelais. Yeah. De Bordeaux.
So just for our viewers, what did you do in Bordeaux and where were you working?
It's so long ago. I really have to rack my brains in actual fact. But I was very lucky to do a little bit of studying there. But also I worked for various different wine negociants, and these are basically shipping companies, wine shippers. But I spent a lovely time working for a wonderful chateau called Chateau Latour, and I think we might even have a picture because if anybody gets the opportunity to go to Bordeaux, do try and visit this beautiful chateau. You've just gone past it. Go up again. Go up. That's
sorry, folks. Yeah, sorry about the.
Hang on. There we go. It's bright pink, but in a glorious blue sunshine with the stunning vineyards in the front. It is quite a fantastic looking chateau. It's true to say that they make good wine, but they're not one of the exceptional wines, so they are affordable. And so I spent a lovely time there in actual fact. And if you look at the top right turret, that was where I lived.
There we go. Did you dangle your hair out the window looking to be rescued?
Well, let's go to it. Let's go to a map and I'll point out exactly where it is.
Okay,
because these places are pretty remote.
Well, let's just put Bordeaux into perspective.
Let's have a look at France.
Yeah, let's start at the beginning here.
Why do those poppies keep coming up?
No, well, not to everyone else, just to us.
Right, X marks the spot. Jude,
big red blob on the left.
The big red blob.
Okay, so this is a very high level overview of France, but it just puts it into perspective. So it's quite far down in the south there.
Now you all know that France is one of the 3 top producers of wine in the world, volume wise, and you all now know that Bordeaux produces once, twice, 3 times
an Aussie.
3 times the amount of wine that is produced in the whole of Australia.
Yeah.
Bordeaux is colossal. It really is. It's not quite as big as it used to be, though, because of the big wine sort of surplus.
Okay. So
there has been some sort of movement in terms of production, but it is still colossal, and largely one of the reasons why you get such varying qualities. But ultimately, it is. It's just safe to say that it's one of the top regions in the world, most renowned and most respected. Yeah.
So okay, there it is down there. And just another thing to put it into perspective, compared to Burgundy, Bordeaux's actually what did I say it was 5 times larger than Burgundy. So even Burgundy as a region, which is very well known, Bordeaux really is the foundation, isn't it, of wine in France?
But if we just put the map up again, Jude.
Oh, France or Bordeaux?
Bordeaux.
Okay, that's fortunate.
Okay, so Bordeaux, if some people aren't familiar, it's basically halfway down France on the west coast, literally halfway down on the west coast. And because it's on the west coast, it's got a kind of like a continental climate, which is pretty much what we've got these days. So warm summers, kind of like bit rainy. In fact, it's incredibly similar to this climate. I do remember, when I was working there, it rains. Oh my God, can it rain?
But it's a lot further south.
But it's on the west coast. It's on the west coast, so it's
weather coming in.
There's weather coming in, and again, can you get the map up again, please?
Bordeaux or France?
Yeah.
Okay. Bordeaux.
So just to point out, if you look at the Medoc region,
which is the river mouth.
Yeah, almost the river mouth. So that is where Chateau Latour is, the place where the big pink chateau. It is definitely worth a visit, but it is quite a long way, and you can only get to it by very, very small little roads from the centre of Bordeaux. So it's about 65 kilometres north of Bordeaux. That gives you some sort of understanding of how big the area is.
Where is Bordeaux, the city? on the map, right where the rivers
on
converge,
the river. It's
kind of
pretty
thing.
much where the rivers converge. In fact, it's below where the river converges, just below where the river converges.
Okay, so that's where Bordeaux is. That river is extremely
Yeah.
important.
And then these names down the side of the right, where it says, I can't read it, Jude. What does it say?
That says Saint-Estèphe,
Saint-Estèphe,
Pauillac,
Pauillac,
Saint-Julien.
Saint-Julien. Keep going.
It's very far away, actually. You get the idea. You get the idea.
These are all tiny, tiny little villages, but they all have their classification. And this is where Bordeaux becomes a real minefield because of the way in which it's classified.
So if we take it all the way right back to basics, which is what this is all about.
Cheers, everybody.
Let's have a little
Let's have a quick drink first.
Cheers.
I'll try not to bore the pants off everybody.
It's really difficult. It is interesting, but it can get in depth. Right. We are drinking Le Kool-Aid Claymore from Chateau Latour. This is their second wine, so this is not their top-notch kind of showcase piece, but it's a really nice, fruity, approachable wine. So I hope you guys like it. Yeah,
the reason why we chose this actually because it has this lovely, lovely, easy, accessible smoothness, and almost from the point of actually popping the cork, it's just ready to go. It's got nice, sweet tannins. Great, actually, almost on its own, or after dinner, or with
some salami. We have some wild boar salami at the moment, which particularly well.
Yeah.
And good with your cheese board, with your hard kind of bigger cheeses.
Yeah. And also, whilst we're on that point, I mean, Bordeaux is one of the culinary centres of France, up there, with Lyon, up there with Paris. I mean, they've got some fantastic restaurants. The problem with Bordeaux, actually, from a tourism point of view, is it's actually quite difficult to get there. And for a long time, there was only one flight a week, and I think it was British Airways, and they stopped that. I don't even actually know whether they're flying there anymore. But it is actually quite a difficult place to get to. If you drive, it takes a long time, and it's kind of on the way to nowhere, really, unless you're going to
Spain or
unless
Portugal.
you're going to Spain or Portugal.
They might be insulted by that.
But it is a fabulous place to go to. It's got the most beautiful, beautiful historic buildings. In fact, it's got I think it's the second only to Paris in terms of the number of historic buildings it's got. And you said
it's a UNESCO World Heritage Site now since 2007. Sorry.
Yeah.
So it says a lot.
My memory of working in Bordeaux was that at the time the whole city hadn't been cleaned up and all the buildings were black. So if you happen to look at some photographs, in fact, we've got some photos of some chateaux which are coming up. But if you happen to look at photographs back in the 90s, and they were absolutely black from pollution. They were cleaned up, and they are now stunning, absolutely stunning. So have a little look. It's really, really worth it.
Take your sunglasses.
It's not the cheapest place to go to. The food is fantastic. And then get yourself up into the Médoc and into Saint-Emilion and areas. And we'll talk about that in a minute.
So, right, here we go. Start up at 10 because we've got to get these guys thinking on the spot.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk quite a lot about this. We will tell you what the two main red grapes here. In fact, maybe we should just put it out there. There are six red grape varieties we're looking for, but two of them account for a very, very vast majority of the red wines grown in Bordeaux.
And you know what they are.
What are the two varieties of grape?
Tell us what they are.
Come on, now is the time.
Whilst you're telling us what they are, we'll just tell you that the Kool-Aid Claymore is $15.99. We haven't had it for very long. It's 2015 vintage. It will be moving vintage soon, probably in the next 6 months. But for now,
it's lovely, soft and friendly and approachable.
Yeah. So going back to the classification of Bordeaux. So the biggest challenge of Bordeaux,
keep it fun.
The biggest challenge is it's so huge. And how do you actually start classifying all this? Well, there was a classification created in 1855. And to this day, some of that classification the majority of that classification still exists. And what they did is they looked at the top producers in terms of quality. They were only looking at quality. And they created pretty much a five-tier approach. So the best being first growth or Premier Grand Cru, the second just slightly down in terms of quality, being the deuxième cru classé, Grand Cru classé, and then the troisième, then the quatrième, and then the cinquième. So they were the 5, and they covered the top chateau. For example, the first growths were Chateau Latour, Chateau Mouton Rothschild, Chateau Margaux. Help me out here. I've forgotten them.
Oh, Bordeaux is not my specialist subject.
Chateau Latour, Rothschild, and there's one more, and I can't think what it is off the top of my head. And to this day, and then you've got a whole lot in second growth, third growth, fourth growth, fifth growth, and those levels are kind of recognized in terms of pricing. But these days, there's very, very little between, a first growth and a fifth growth, apart from price and who wants to buy it.
So it's very much commodity or designer label.
It's designer. It's absolute designer.
So don't go spending lots of money on those big fancy first growths when you could have a lovely bottle cheaper.
So that classification, that kind of sorted out the real fantastic boys. And then of course you've got the rest of Bordeaux. And I think there's something like, what was it? There's 54 different legislated appellations or what do you call them? Classifications across Bordeaux. And when we're talking about Bordeaux, we're talking about Saint-Emilion as well. And then you've got the new kids on the block, les garagistes, as they called it, because they were producing wine of fantastic quality straight out the back of their garage. And when I'm talking about a garage, I'm talking about the tiniest little garage, that you put your car in. That's it. Okay. The likes of Chateau Petrus and Le Pan. I mean, now these are like, they're fetching thousands of euros per.
And these were moonshine in the garage at one point.
They were.
Have grown in operation.
Yeah. So, but of course, they only came along in the 20th century. So they didn't have the opportunity to have this sort of classification. So they really had to work and market themselves to get themselves up there on a par with those, those first growth.
So fighting against the big brands almost. Tom's asked an interesting question. So fifth growth could actually be quite good.
Oh God, yes.
Fifth growth is bloody good.
Oh yes,
I think is the answer.
Yeah. I mean, the problem with Bordeaux, though, of course, is that it does tend to take at a good level. It does take quite a long time to mature, and the longer you leave it, generally, the better it gets for some considerable time.
Yeah, which is really
but of course
annoying as a
the problem with that is that you forget you've got it. And I've literally just discovered that I have a bottle of this is Chateau Latour. I'm not actually standing it up. Chateau Latour, which is one of the grand first growths, 1985. And oh my God, well, it's been sitting in the shed for years. I don't even remember where it came from.
Up and it's worth about 300 quid. So bit of a shame that the label's a bit damaged, but that might work in our favour.
They always will be. The point is, though, the label may be damaged. It doesn't really matter about the label. The cat's still absolutely intact. It's immaculate. But I'm actually going to put this. I'm not going to sort of turn it on its side because not.
What are you going to do with it?
I don't know. I might drink it later on my own.
Well, I think we should put it away, wipe all the spider poo off it and drink it. Yeah. Which is why I'm not very good at gathering wine, and that's why we're all about wines that you open and drink now. So
yes, but however, we do have a bit of a stash. We don't talk about it too much, but we do have a stash of sort of top Bordeaux. So if anybody's interested in, as I said, those first growth, second growth, third growth, fourth growth, fifth growth, we've got quite a lot, and they go back to 1989, I think, which is a pretty substantial vintage.
Very much sort of more down the investment side of things, although some of it we'll be drinking now and is good to drink now, but it's
which takes us on to investment.
Yes, well, yes.
And
although we've gone.
No. Let's not skip.
Let's not skip because we need
Let's get
we
back
need to just get back to basics because it's so complicated. So, first of all, people will taste Bordeaux and go, well, it's red wine. It's often considered to be quite a big red wine. We've got lots of right answers with Cabernet Merlot being Cabernet Sauvignon and Merlot being the two main varieties. Now, if you're particularly more inclined to Merlot than Cabernet, then there's something you can tell from on the label to tell you, am I more likely to like this than maybe the next bottle of Bordeaux?
Where it's from.
So let's
go back to the little mapper.
Yeah, I got it. Here we go.
So very easy. If we're looking at that little river, it splits Bordeaux in half. Basically, we talk about the left bank, which is the Médoc and all that area where it says Pauillac and Saint-Estèphe and Saint-Julien. That is all the Médoc region. And that is predominantly Cabernet Sauvignon based. So there may be a little bit of Merlot and there may be a little bit of Petit Verdot or a bit of Carmenère or a bit of, what's the other one? Malbec. But I'm only talking about tiny, tiny percentages. The majority is Cabernet Sauvignon. That's how it was planted. That's how it's remained. If you go over the river, you get to Pomerol and Saint-Emilion.
And this is the right bank.
That is the right bank of the river. And that is largely planted with it's driven by Merlot. So it does have Cabernet Sauvignon, but the majority is Merlot. So this wine from a little village called Lussac, just very close to Saint-Emilion. Saint-Emilion is also a tiny little village, but it also is a sort of a designated region in itself as well.
Yeah.
This is predominantly Merlot.
Yep. Now each vintage they change what they blend the Merlot with. So this particular vintage is with a bit of Cabernet Sauvignon and Malbec. The next vintage we know is primarily Cabernet Franc, I think, right?
Well, predominantly Merlot.
Sorry,
Merlot with a bit of Cabernet Franc.
With Cabernet Franc blended. So they're obviously growing all of the different Bordeaux grape varieties, Cabernet, Merlot, but also the ones we just mentioned.
Well,
Cabernet
it's
Franc,
also,
Malbec, Carmenère.
But it's also important to say that, as Jude said at the beginning, this is the second wine of Chateau Claymore. So it's the cadet of Chateau Claymore. So it's not their top ranking. It's what didn't make the cut in terms of quality goes into a cheaper label, and that's what this is. So that's probably why they're playing with the blends. So they reserve the absolute best for their Chateau du Claymore.
Sure, okay.
And then their second wine is everything else. So that's probably why the
by no means their sort of junk wine. It's a more affordable end of the market if you're looking at everyday drinking Bordeaux. But just to mention, do keep any questions that come into mind, pop them out there. Luke put a good question in just now, which said, does Grand Vin mean it's the Chateau's view that is good, or does it have anything to do with the first growth? So if it's actually classified as Grand Vin, it is classified as their first wine.
There has to be a bit more than just Grand Vin. Grand Vin do somewhat of something. Grand Vin, I mean, basically just means big wine. But as I said, there's 54, 55 different classifications. So Grand Vin, this one actually, this Chateau Latour is called Grand Vin du Chateau Latour. Don't ask me why. I actually don't know why, but the chateau's name is Chateau Latour. And as somewhere on that label, it will say Premier Grand Cru Classé, which is the first growth back from the 1855 classification. Right. But Grand Vin, in that respect, doesn't mean anything. I suppose it means their premium wine, first wine.
It would suggest it's their first wine, yeah. So across most labels, if you saw Grand Vin, then it wouldn't be their second for sure. Yeah. So it was a really good question. Yeah. Tom's just got to ask another question here, asking what's the price difference between the best wines and the Cadet wines? Okay, so can we have a look at Chateau Palmer? Yes, yeah.
So I'm just going to show you a pretty picture because, again, I'm going to come back to that question, Tom. I promise you.
But this is basically going back to the beautiful Bordeaux chateaus, right? Okay.
So this is it's Disney on steroids. If you travel up the Médoc and you have these fantastic chateaux, and they're literally one after the other. They on both sides of the road, and you having to pinch yourself to how stunning they are. They do require an awful lot of maintenance, however, and a lot of them have sort of fallen into disrepair. That one is just phenomenal. They really are. It is like the wonderful world of Disney.
We need their lawn care people.
Yeah, but if you could just go back to Chateau Palmer.
Sorry, just find it now,
and I'll answer that question, Tom.
Palmer is very castle.
There you go.
There we go.
Yeah. So Chateau Palmer was in a terrible state when I was working there. But I think it had. Well, I wasn't actually working at Chateau Palmer, but in Bordeaux,
Nothing to do with you.
it was struggling, and they weren't really using the chateau as such. They were using the winery just next to it. But I think they got a sort of like some sort of probably sort of foreign investment in there, and they've managed to do it up. So Chateau Palmer is, from memory, is a third growth. So it's not the first one, it's not the second one, it's the third category. It's phenomenally good, and you're talking about, €100 a bottle. They have a second wine, and their second wine is called Anglais. Actually, it's not really. That's not a very good example. It's a smaller chateau at the time. Okay, but in actually, if you took their second wine, we'd be talking about €25, 20 to €25. So that's the difference. But it's not always the same for each chateau. Going back to Chateau Claymore, it's probably about £24-25, and the Cadet, which we're drinking today, is, as I said, $15.99.
$15.99, yeah, which is really good value. And actually, Chateau Claymore follow really nice natural principles, as we like all of our producers to.
Yeah.
So they don't add any sulfites during the wine production process.
Yeah. Good point.
They grow flowers in between their vines to keep the soil healthy. They're all about very holistic.
Have we got a
farming.
picture of that?
We do have a picture of that. Let me just put it up. Oh, and Tim's just asking why his wine is tasting more classy at the second glass, but also with cheese. So it's got to be said. These are, there's Pichon again.
The Bordeaux is absolutely designed to drink with food. You shouldn't be drinking it on its own. And it will absolutely charm the pants on. The reason why Bordeaux is considered to be producers of some of the best wines in the world is because they get this fabulous balance and harmony in their wines, which means the fruit in the first instance out of the vineyard is excellent. It's got good acidity. It's got good tannins. It's got good color, and all the components you need to have a wine that is actually going to mature and develop. True to say, though, they do take a long time to come round, so they do need time to.
But also, not all of them will mature and develop.
No,
right? So. No. This is your challenge when you're looking at a bottle of generally French wine, full stop, but especially Bordeaux. In fact, because this isn't their sort of Grand Vin, this is their second wine. It's not quite so specific. But if you're looking at a first wine of a producer, and you're there in the independent wine merchant, because that's the only place you buy wines from, and you're looking at the label, first thing you can see, the easiest, I suppose, to understand is the vintage. It'll tell you how old it is.
Yep.
But that could mean it's past it or too young. So where do we go from there? Where do we go from there?
Oh, well, I'll let you into a little secret, actually. A really, really good little secret of mine. Generally speaking, the best vintages in Bordeaux are all the fives. So 2015, 2010, 2005, 2000, 1995, 1990, 1989 as well, but 1985. Just think of all the fives, and it's quite a good sort of steer of actually. So they were good vintages. So the climate was good. There wasn't too much rot. The circumstances for the harvest were good. They were good vintages.
So if you've got a bottle, you've taken it off the shelf in the independent wine merchant, or you're looking at it online ideally, and it says, okay, it's 2010 vintage.
Yeah.
But I know that might be too old or it might be too young. What's the next thing you can look to? The producer know the quality potentially, or
yeah. I mean, I have the biggest problem with let's talk about Saint-Emilion. Saint-Emilion is a real problem because it's been incredibly successful in marketing itself, but just because it says Saint-Emilion doesn't necessarily mean it's good Saint-Emilion, and you can get some incredibly bad Saint-Emilion. That name in itself isn't sufficient message to say it's going to be good. And there's some really sort of, very cheap, inferior quality of Saint-Emilion wines about that. So then you have to look at the producer's name. Then you have to make sure that on the back label it is produced and bottled at the winery. So mise en bouteille au château or something like that.
Which it'll say on every label. And actually from wines across the world, it's good to look at where the wine's bottled. Because if it's bottled where it's produced, then you're probably looking at well, it's not always, but then you're looking at something that has been bulk produced and bulk shipped.
Yeah.
So it's a good sign.
Yeah. So Bordeaux is actually unusual in terms of it's all about the name of the producer. And bear in mind, you can have one producer and another one next door to him, and they are totally different ends of the quality scale. So it is like looking out the best producers and then looking at the best vintages. And
then how much you want to pay, probably.
And then probably how much you want to pay, yeah.
They really can vary massively, right? I mean, we're looking at a sort of second wine, which is $15.99.
Yeah.
Their first would be 25-30 quid.
Yeah.
Not expensive when you're looking at the kind of Grand Vins de Chateau X, Y, and Z.
Yeah, I think actually, to get some decent Bordeaux, you have to be thinking about spending between sort of £15 and £25. Between 15 and £25, you're going to get a good bottle of wine. Then you can become a bit silly if you want to and go up and up and up, depending on how much money you've got in your pocket.
The question we always get asked, which no one's asking right now, so do ping your questions through, but can you taste the difference between a £25 bottle of Bordeaux and a £50 bottle of Bordeaux?
Probably not, no. But can you taste the difference between a £25 bottle of wine and a £500 bottle of wine? Yes.
Right. Ooh, interesting. Okay.
But bear in mind, they will only go up at that sort of, in terms of that sort of price point with age. So that this bottle of wine, it's 1985, but 1966 was a phenomenal year, not just because we won the World Cup, but actually from a Bordeaux perspective. And 1966 vintage, it fetches colossal prices because they are, they're collectors. They really are collectors.
So do people drink these wines ever? This is the bit that I know
they do, but then of course they put them away and forget about them. It's exactly what we've done here.
Suddenly
they do, but there is, there's the Japanese market and there's the Chinese market who absolutely, or the Singaporean market, I should say, but they are desperate to get their hands on these beauties.
So actually, it's a really interesting. I was just going to say what you just mentioned about the export market for Bordeaux.
Yeah.
So China is Bordeaux's biggest export market, but second place is kind of interesting and really surprising.
Oh, I don't know who it is.
It's a small European country.
Okay.
Go on, have a stab, everyone. You must be good at naming small.
Is it not Japan?
No.
Okay.
You must be good at naming small European countries by now because it comes up in every per capita question.
It's not Andorra, is it?
It's not Andorra. It's not Andorra, but it may as well have been. But yeah, it's kind of interesting because the UK is only fourth or fifth in the export markets.
Yeah.
There's a few people stack ahead of us.
Oh, I think I've got an idea. I've got an idea.
Okay. Well, see what you think. Take a guess.
Incidentally, anybody who fancies doing a marathon run, there is a fantastic marathon that was created by a chap from a chateau. It runs, I think, in September, and it runs all the way through the Médoc. So all the chateaux open up, and you're expected to stop as you trot along and have a glass of wine on the way at every single chateau. So I tell you, it's not for me.
I'm really up for it on a bike.
Yeah.
Just not running.
Yeah.
Just imagine the headache at the end of it.
Yeah. Okay, have we got an answer? Luxembourg, Belgium.
Well done, Bob Reed.
Yeah.
Belgium, really kind of unusual, but there we go.
A great culinary country again, though.
Indeed, and serious about their food and drink. Yeah. And then, hang on a minute.
Movement.
The Titanic is departing. Sorry, Bree, you want to
Okay.
Sorry. The dog movement, and it can be.
Oh God!
It can be disastrous when he decides to shift.
Just going back to the vintages, though, and it is really important that Bordeaux actually does suffer from seriously, tricky grape growing conditions because they are on the west coast, the Atlantic west coast. They do get a lot of rot because there's moisture, there's an awful lot of moisture in the air. They can get hail in the growing season. In fact, I know there was hail up in where was there hail this week? There was hail
this week.
Yeah, the size of £2 coins.
Oh, I didn't see
in this country. I know. But I mean,
disaster,
even in the middle of June, it happens, and when the hail forms, when the hailstorms come, they're going to knock the grapes to
Imagine
pieces.
your tomato plants, if you're growing them, who've just got their lovely little flowers, which are being pollinated by the bees, and it's all going beautifully.
Yeah.
If you have a hailstorm and those flowers get pummeled by rocks, hailstones, there's your fruit gone.
But again, because of this, actually, it does it warrants the price to be sort of quite expensive, because there's no guarantee, and certainly the volumes go up and down and up and down and up and down like this.
Yeah.
Again, depending on the weather.
Which is the challenge of always the challenge of farming. So and the beauty of each vintage being different to the next. So let's go for a few more
Somebody's just said Amanda's done the marathon 3 times. Well done, you.
No, very good. Yeah, very good. I would do it without the running, or with cycling instead of running.
Should we just touch upon the fact that there is? So we just mentioned. So you've got your left banks, which is the Médoc region, which is Cabernet Sauvignon driven with a little bit of Merlot. Then you've got your right banks, which is the Saint-Emilion region, and Pomerol, which are Merlot driven.
So you're looking at softer, fruitier wines from the right bank, bigger, more structured wines from the left.
Yeah.
As a rule, as a guidance.
That's a general statement, but every different producer will state, his is, they've all got different characteristics.
Exceptional.
And they are exceptional wines. They just need time and they need food. And then, of course, we'll just touch on this, because when I was rooting around.
We should show people and ask them. This could be a good guess.
Okay.
We know you like guessing.
There's another extremely important part of Bordeaux, which again is considered to be sort of, producing the top wines in the world.
And they're not red and they're not white.
Not white.
Well, they're more. Okay. Well, they're white, aren't they? They're clearly white. Okay. So we did last Sunday. A week ago today was all about this particular category of wine. So should we say the type of wine it is and then get the name to come back at us?
Go on then.
Okay. So we're looking at dessert wine. Okay. Very, very famous dessert wine from the Bordeaux region. What is it?
In fact, you could maybe put a picture up and see whether they know what it is.
Picture of
the producer.
The bottle.
The producer.
Oh, we've got a picture of the producer.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, folks. There's so many pictures today that I'm losing track. You might have to just point it out to me.
Keep going.
That one?
No.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, we haven't talked about the poppies.
There we go. This is it. Doesn't look quite such a grand.
So they're
setting.
not in this particular part of Bordeaux. So this isn't Médoc at all. These are more medieval structures, and equally attractive, but just different. And that is basically considered to be the top wine producer of sweet.
That was your
wine.
£70,000 bottle on the menu at the Ritz.
That's right.
This is your Chateau Latour.
Yeah.
So I'm quite right, Simon. It's Sauternes.
Yeah.
So Steve spotted Chateau Latour.
Yeah.
Wasn't the question though.
And just as I forgot about this bottle of Chateau Latour 1985, I managed to have forgot about this, guys, as well. Now we've actually got quite a lot of this. This is 1988 Chateau d'Yquem. No, it's not. It's 1988 Chateau Suduro, which is not Chateau d'Yquem, but it is considered to be one of the top producers, between the top 3, I would say.
In Sauternes.
In Sauternes. We may well, once we get the opportunity to do one of our external tastings again at a venue of our choice, we may well crack one of these open. But we may also auction one of these off if anybody's interested. Please let us know, because this is phenomenal wine and we've got 6 bottles of it. And it's not for drinking every day.
We might wipe the snail poo off there, but essentially, yeah. And actually, it has to be said, when we're talking about our tastings coming up and in the future, we've also toyed with the idea of cracking open a case of something really special and having a limited Zoom tasting of that, but something like a really fancy old Burgundy or something. Yep. So there would only really be 12 available. But bear in mind, if you fancy joining, then keep it in mind and keep an eye out just for when we decide to actually do it, I suppose.
Yeah. Just a little shout out for another one of our another Bordeaux, which is on our list, Chateau Argadens.
Oh yes, Argadens. Yeah.
Which is the sister of Chateau Palmer, which we showed you a minute ago.
Which was the fairy castle on steroids, I think, wasn't it?
That one there.
This is Argadennes. There is Argadennes.
There's Argadennes. So it's the sister of Chateau Palmer, which is that fancy pants one, owned by the Cecil family. And the interesting fact about this is that the Cecil family is incredibly powerful Bordeaux family of British origin, or heritage, really. No, they're French. They are French, but they are British at the same time. Remember that Bordeaux used to be sort of a British territory.
Sichel, I think.
Yeah.
Is it? Or is there two L's?
And old Hannibal of Hannibal Brown fame used to work for Peter Cecil.
Here we go.
Bordeaux.
A Hannibal history moment.
Yeah. And my connection to the Cecil family is the other side of the Cecil family, which is the German side of the Cecil family. And I work for them. And you will never believe, this is my dirty secret, actually.
It's good. It's good to have dirty secrets. Everyone's got them.
Should I go and get it?
I think you could just say it, but
Blue
so yes,
I'm not saying it again.
One of Pam's early wine industry jobs involved, well, one of the most successful wine brands worldwide ever, really.
Even more successful than ever used to be.
So it's nothing to be ashamed of, just don't drink it.
Yeah. But anyway, going back to Chateau Argadennes, so sister winery of Chateau Palmer, it's majority Cabernet Sauvignon.
Which means left bank.
Yeah. $13.95. Really, really recommend that you give it a go. In actual fact, it's probably a little bit fuller than the Kool-Aid Claymore that we're tasting now, and so it needs food. Whereas this one's actually sitting quite nicely.
Very nice on its own, or with a bit of cheese. But yeah, because it's got that Cabernet foundation.
Yeah. And then we have Chateau Toulouse, Toulouse, sorry, Chateau
which
Toulouse,
is a Grave.
From the Grave region, going back to our little.
Bordeaux map, Grave, which is the whiter of the left bank.
Yeah, Grave is well known for actually producing white wines, dry white wines, as well as red wines. Do you want to just go back to the poppies? Because I'm just going to ask you, why are there poppies between those vineyards?
So this is
what is it?
This is just going back to this is the in between the vines of Chateau Argadennes. Chateau Claymore, which is the wine that we're drinking right now. And as I mentioned, they're very, very keen on keeping the balance of ecology in their vineyards and keeping the soil healthy, because the soil is what makes the vines survive. So as opposed to feeding the vine, it's
feeding the soil.
Looking for a balance. So they often have a lot of grass and poppies growing in between the vines, which is all about nourishing the soil.
Yeah, okay. And then what's that one in the corner, the one with the roses?
Okay, so bear with me a second. So you guys are looking at something different to us, which makes the description tricky, but bear with me and I'll just bring it up. So this is a really classic Bordeaux scene, right? Let's get rid of us for now.
Yeah, so it's a bit of a grim day, which is classic Bordeaux, actually. It often rains. But this is a scene that you see throughout all the sort of vine growing regions there, where you see roses lining at every single end, at the end of every single line of vines. And they really were there originally to represent a potential sort of rot issue. So if the roses started suffering, then you knew the vines were going to start suffering.
So like your canary,
bit of a canary
in a cage.
And now it's just tradition to keep them there as well, and they are incredibly beautiful.
Which is so pretty. And that particular picture actually had horses and carts tending the vines, which is
oh yes, so it did. I never saw
a real harp back to history, not necessary. Sometimes machinery is useful.
Yeah. Right then, I think that's it.
Well, yeah.
You think there's more?
No. I mean, the problem with Bordeaux is you could speak forever, but I do think we might come back to it on a smaller group of people if people are really interested in a specific older vintage wine that we happen to get our hands on. So watch this space for that.
Yes.
We have a little reminder. This is Sunday. Thursday is back to basics house wine.
Yep.
All about how to choose your cheaper end of the range wines and what to look for, which are really good bets, and what can be really bad and should be avoided at all costs.
Your everyday drinking wines.
Yeah. So we've got our lovely Why Not Red and White, which are two Spanish wines, which we think are just bang on for their minimal $7.99 price tag.
Yeah. And I just want to make a shout out for Rockstar. Rockstar. So anybody's been on our
rosé.
website recently or read the blog, but you will see that we now have John Bon Jovi's rosé on the website. No gimmick. John Bon Jovi has hooked up with a guy called Gerard Bertrand, who is considered the rosé man of France.
It's really good. It's fantastic.
Read about it. Have a go at it. It's, you know, it's great. It's great. It's got a great story as well. And also, just also a little shout out, actually, we're doing a lot of virtual tastings at the moment for businesses, because whilst the lockdown is pretty much over, there's still an awful lot of people working from home. And we're hooking up with businesses via Zoom and doing big staff virtual tastings. So we're sending out the wine, 3 or 4 wines to each household, all identical, and everybody joins us at 4:30 on a Thursday afternoon or a Friday afternoon, whatever they want to do. It's a fantastic way of actually doing a social for either business colleagues or just amongst yourselves and your neighbours and your friends and your family and what have you.
Yeah, so just think about it. If you've got a group and you fancy a bit of a laugh and to mix up the family quiz or the work quiz, then we can come and join you and send all the wine in advance.
And of course, and if you don't want us involved, then look out of our DIY tasting kits. They're going like, you know, hot potatoes on a cold day.
Or something like that.
There's one for everybody.
Indeed. So get your house wines, why not red and white, in for Thursday. Thanks everyone for joining us. Loving the little Bon Jovi like nudges. Keep the faith. Thank you, Sarah White.
Yeah, like that.
Alice was pointing out that it might be Kyle MacLachlan's rosé next. To those of you who know Kyle MacLachlan would know that he was.
He's a huge star.
Twin Peaks.
If you ever watched Twin Peaks.
Twin Peaks. Classic. But we won't be getting his rosé. But we do think that the Hampton Water from Bon Jovi, or aka Gerard Bertrand, is fantastic.
It is no gimmick, I promise you. It's no
fantastic.
gimmick. We wouldn't bring it in if we didn't think it was fabulous.
Yeah. So we're going back to canapés for next week. Back to getting you guys working. I'll get the recipes up tomorrow, but with a couple of not difficult but really tasty food combos. So let's everyone get the canapés ready. We want to see pictures of your canapés next week, right?
Okay, lovely. Yeah? Nice to see you, everybody. Please continue to share. We like to see as many people as possible on these events, and we've got a whole lot more to come. So
Indeed.
See you next time.
Cheers, everyone.
Bye.
Happy Sunday.
Bye. Cheers.